Hi everybody and welcome back to the painting channel. Today I've got a bit of surprise for you all. I've got the long awaited part 2 of the elephant and its calf at a waterhole called New Brownie in Etosha, Namibia. So let's roll that intro. Let's see how we get on. Hi guys, welcome back. As I said just now, I've got part 2 of this lovely elephant and calf at a waterhole, and it's been a long time coming. I do apologize, but it's here now and it will continue the saga from part 1, which was the block-in. So without further ado, let's get going. Let's see what happens. Hi everybody, welcome back, and this is the second part of this video. And what I've done overnight, this is dried off, ready for me to carry on with. It's not dry, it is certainly dry enough to add the next layer of paint to the equation. And I've looked at this and I think I'm going to stay with this sort of level. It's above halfway and I'm quite happy with that. It gives me a little bit more sky behind here. But what I'm going to do first and foremost is just start looking at creating a little bit more interest in the sky. I'm still going to be using a lot of liquid, but now I'm going to use some white into my blues. I've got a lot of ultramarine in there. I'm going to use some cobalt into that. A little tap of the orange as I did yesterday. There we go. Just to shift that off, see where that is. We're going to press on, and I'm looking at all the paler blues down through here, just little taps. That's all I want to do. There's not great big swathes of light colour, but I just want to hint at one or two of them. I want to put a lot of detail into this creature, and this is sort of just small taps of information. These little brushes, very flexible. They're really quite handy. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are a number of brushes that you can use for this job. I am just simply using one. Maybe a bit more blue onto the outer edge of that, bit more white, bit more blue, and a little bit more of the liquid. Maybe cooler still. don't worry if you get something not quite the same as the photo. Often we are painting away and we get so annoyed with ourselves that, you know, oh, I didn't mean that to happen like that, and that's just not how it looks. And I'm sorry, it doesn't really make a difference. There is no I said this yesterday, that, you know, you can alter some of the shapes, some of the forms that you have on these jumbos. They're not all coming out the mold exactly the same. It's not a case of that you can't get it a little different and get away with it. Of course you can. So don't be too hard on yourself if that's the case. I come in here with just some subtle little lights running down here just to pick out some of the detail now, around there and up through here. Lots of little detail, but I'm using the shadowy sections of the paint underneath to create those forms. And we've got lots of colours coming in here, and I've got my drawing a little bit out there. I'm just going to come in here and correct that, I think, there. And I want to put a little bit more warmth into that section as it comes back out here. Just a little bit more warmth in there. I think that's probably closer to it. We can change it, and we can change the drawing itself if we feel we need to later. Can I come in here and, sorry, wrong pot. There we go. A little bit more warmth in there. A little bit more of the liquid, so you can see how warm the brown is with that lovely sienna. And I just wanted to put in a few sort of darker marks in there. And I've always found, to be quite honest with you, that the trunk of an elephant is probably the single most difficult aspect of an elephant to paint. You know, we can always get the tusks right, we can always do this, that and the other, but getting those lines in a trunk on an elephant, especially a big old bull, can be very, very difficult at times, and many people miss it and don't get it right. And I've done so myself. It's easily done, but they work in a certain way, and you need to observe that best you can. It gives way from that blue to grey colours, and this colour here needs to come down a little more to there, I think, and a little area there is missing too. Let's just change that. We've got that nice little shape there that she was missing. We can bring that through there, and we can add in a little bit more grey. So for that grey, I'm actually coming with a little bit more warmth. That is way too much warmth for the scene. Let's come in, let's lose that and put some orange into there. There we go. I think that's probably the grey that I am seeking, because it's a warmer grey. There's a lot of orange going into that grey, and we will use that, and we can come back and we can put some more blues in later if we feel we've gone a little too far. Alright, let's use some of this subdued whitish colour in here. Look how light that looks, and yet it's the same colour we used in some of these other bits. And knock it down a little bit. I come back down to a value or two less. I'm going to tap into the center like that. And then I'm going to take all the excess paint off that I don't want on the brush. And I'm just going to literally tap between these two areas. I want a softer shadow. It may be that I come back over with the other colour, but I think that we can get a lot of what we want. Just didn't want it as hard as the brush was leaving it. We can change that tomorrow, but I think that's just a very soft edged value. Alright, so where are we? Well, we are very close to completing the second pass on these lovely ellies themselves, certainly. Just putting a little bit of light in one or two places when I can. And yeah, we're so almost there. I want to put a few darks. Now, a lot of liquid, make that more fluid, but I just want to put in a sense of the sort of lines we got in our little baby. Some of these will stay, some of these will go, of course, but they are merely an indication at this juncture just to see where we're going to take the trunk. And they get so fine you can barely see that anything at all when it comes down here. They are there, but they are. We're going to use probably where these are a bit thick. We come back in and we can replace some lights into there. And we've got a lovely little darkness into the trunk there, but this is the one, not that one. This one was the one that was folded. A little bit of dark in there just to suggest that. And the eye will stay as it is. I probably will just, however, I think it needs a little bit thickening up, a little bit sort of squinty. I'll put a little bit more shape to that. Okay, that's good. Didn't take much, just enough. Alright, where do we go now? Well, we're going to use some of these darks up very, very quickly. And we're going to come in under this area around mum. We're just going to literally use the rigger. I could use the bigger brush quite happily, but I just want to mix up some of these darks under here. There's quite an orangey red value that is capturing all this part of the flesh down through here, which is sort of really there, not where I just put it, somewhere there, and not so much on there. You just get a little sense of it, but it's more silhouetted there because this part of the leg here, this is coming down into this leg, this is this leg, and basically because this leg is in shadow there by that part, then you see a little bit more of a glow. I don't know if I made sense of that or not. Hopefully you followed that bit. I'm just going to bring some of that in to meet some of that, and we're going to play around with that tomorrow or in our next pass. So we're going to bring that all the way down like that. We're going to bring up that bit of dark in there, which is the other leg, as I've just been saying, like that. And I'm going to bring that down here now to this part here. Lots of dark, lots of strong darks, because we're going to have a very, very bright background. And I will make a second pass on that before we finish today, so that we do get some greater understanding of what we're going to expect. Now I'm just going to run a few dark lines here. Maybe I'm running out of liquid. I'm going to have to dribble out a little bit more. I'm just going to come down and I'm just simply putting in one or two lines. They may or may not stay. So I think we're done on the second pass on these two animals. what I need to do now is just look at some of the values in the background and see where we can take that moving forward. So let's come back into our tree line, and I'm going to come in this time with some phthalo. Be very aware, phthalo is a very vicious animal. I keep saying it, but it is so true. It's a very heavy green. But I'm going to put in some ultramarine to temper that down and see how immediately the ultramarine has affected the colour that you see like that. It's changed it quite a lot. But if it's still too greeny, too intense, and a tensor suggests that it is, then what can you do? Well, you can actually put a little bit of red into that, and by putting a cooler red into it, you actually null down the green, and look how that's becoming greenish but not intense. Try it out. How strong is that? It's not bad. I think it can be a little red in there. Red is even more severe at turning it, and that will give you a duller green like that. Maybe a little more blue. Keep mixing until you really are quite happy with the result. We are coming away from the green a little bit, just the merest tap. I think we're going to leave it at that and sort of just play around now. I want to soften sort of this tree line way off into the distance, and I'm going to tap into that. I'm going to work back into that. So that gives me that little sense of the rise there. I'm going to bring one or two down here because there's quite a few down that side. Just bring one or two down a little further. Not trying to paint bushes, not trying to paint clumps of grass. I'm just painting what I see, nothing more. We are going to come down here, and we're going to continue this all the way down to the next section, which will be of course the foreground. Just keep your lines nice and tight where you want them. Take the paint right up to the animal. I see a lot of people, when they're doing something like this, they leave a line around the animal. Please try not to do that. It is so wrong to do that. It looks like you've cut the animal out and pasted it in place, and I'm sure that's exactly not what you did. I'm going to come in here with a little bit more warmth coming through here now. And that might be a little bit too obviously warm. We're going to come back in, maybe put a bit of blue to that, make it a bit more of an off violet colour, but I quite like what that's doing. Not treating my blush too well. And just bringing that in and just breaking up what we see. right, so I think pretty much we are done with this episode on this painting. I'm just putting a few light marks. I have them there. Just going to put them in to suggest some contours, a little bit of debris on the ground. Never too much debris because the elephants just flatten it. But just trying to suggest a little bit of contour and differences in the and there's a lovely elephant shadow on this side of the drawing, and I can't put it in, but it'd been great if I could, but I'm not going to. Alright, so we've got enough warm and cool going on here now, and I am going to sit back and enjoy this. I will look at it and I will come back in and take on any parts that need changing on our next visit to it. But in the meantime, I do hope that you've got something from this episode. I hope that you can carry on and push your own version of this forward and make something of it. And I look forward to catching each and every one of you in the very next episode. So take care. Until then, all the best. Happy painting. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, well I hope you enjoyed that. I had a whole heap of fun doing that, and I'm sure you got something from it. Now this does follow on from the very first part of this elephant, which I did many months ago. So I'm going to get ready to do the next part, and I hope you join me for that. And if you have enjoyed this, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like and give comments. They're always welcome, always read them and always answer them. So I'll catch you all in a video very soon, and certainly the next part of this elephant will come up very shortly. And if you do like what you're seeing, you want to see more full-length oils, then pop on over to my Patreon, which has got a pure oil tier, so you might like to look at that, get involved. And I'll also put the reference to this painting up on my Patreon for you to freely download and use and enjoy and have a go at it yourself. So take care, catch you all very soon wherever you are, stay safe, take care, bye bye.